Hello class, this is a video tutorial on multiplying decimals. So to evaluate decimal multiplication, it's just 3 simple steps. Step 1 is we multiply by magnitudes of 10 until all the numbers are integers. Step 2, we evaluate the multiplication as we normally would. And step 3 is we would divide the magnitudes of 10 so that we can reverse step 1. Now, as always, let's do some examples to really demonstrate this. So here we go. So 40 times 0.2. First, I would like to make this decimal into a whole number. And since we only need to move this decimal place 1 spot to the right, I'm going to multiply this number by 10. So I can rethink of this problem as 40 times 2. So that was step 1. Step 2, we just evaluate this as we normally would. 40 times 2 is 80. But since I've multiplied by 10 in step 1, I need to reverse this by dividing the final answer by 10. So 80 divided by 10 is just 8. So 40 times 0.2 is equal to 8. So this is just the basic idea with some easy examples. Let's keep going. You can pause at any time and try these examples whenever you'd like. So let's keep going. Here we go. So step 1, we want to make this into a whole number. So times this by 10. So this problem becomes 7 times 3. Because remember, when we multiply by magnitudes of 10, we just move the decimal place to the right or to the left with division. So now we just look at this as 7 times 3, which is 21. And since we multiplied by 10 in the original question, we reverse that by dividing by 10. So moving that decimal place back 1, the final answer just becomes 2.1. Okay, let's keep moving forward with these problems. Now, it doesn't need to be the second number that we have to make into a whole number. It can be this one as well. So let's make this into a whole number by multiplying by 10 to move that decimal point 1 spot to the right. So this becomes 5 times 5, which we can evaluate as just 25. And since we multiplied by 10, we need to reverse that and divide by 10. So the final answer is just 2.5. Let's move on to the next set of examples here. All right, so let's keep going. Once again, we want to make all the numbers whole numbers. So since this is now 2 decimal places in order to move this decimal, so instead of multiplying by 10 would move this only 1 spot. So to move it 2 spots, we multiply it by 100. So moving this decimal place 2 spots to the right, this problem just becomes 3 times 4, which we know to just be 12. And since we multiplied this by 100, we need to reverse this by dividing the final answer by 100. Now for this one, the decimal place is here. So moving it 2 spaces to the left, it goes 1 and 2. So this becomes 0.12, which we put a 0 in front. So this becomes 0.12. Okay, let's keep going. Now, as you can see, it's rather straightforward from this point. You can pause and really try these questions yourselves, because I'm going to start moving a lot faster now. So here we go. For this one, we need to move the decimal place 2 spaces to the right. So this question becomes 8 times 2. So this becomes 16. And since we multiplied by 100, we need to reverse this and divide by 100. This moved the decimal place back 2 spaces. This gives us 0.16. Okay, let's keep going with this one. Once again, multiplying this one by 100, this question becomes 7 times 6. 7 times 6 is just 42. And since, again, we multiply by 100, we need to reverse that by dividing by 100. So, moving the decimal place back 2 spaces, this becomes 0.42. Alright, last set of examples. Alright, so as you can see with these ones, there's both numbers now need to be made into whole numbers. So for this one, we need to multiply by 10. And this one, we also need to multiply by 10. Now, in total, 10 times 10, we have multiplied by 100. Okay, so we would need to reverse this in total. So this question, since we've multiplied this by 10, this becomes 12. Remember, moving the decimal place 1 spot. And the second number becomes 4, since we just moved this decimal place 1 spot. 12 times 4 becomes 48. And as I've shown here, since we've multiplied each number by 10, the total multiplication is times 100. That times 100, we now need to reverse by dividing by 100. That means we move the decimal place 2 spots like so. So our final answer is 0.48. And there we have it. Okay, let's keep going with this one. Now, for both of these, we want both of them to become whole numbers. So we need to move this decimal place 2 spots. We do that by multiplying by 100 on this one. We also multiply this one by 100 to move that decimal place 2 spots. In total, 100 times 100, you can just count how many zeros there are. We've multiplied by 1 with 4 zeros. We would need to reverse this later. So now this number becomes 7 and this number becomes 3. We evaluate this normally. 7 times 3 is 21. But now, since we've multiplied by 1 with 4 zeros, we need to reverse that by dividing by 1 with 4 zeros. So that means we are moving the decimal place, which is here, 4 spaces back to the left. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's 0, 0, 2, 1. So it'll become 0.0021. So 0.07 times 0.03 equals 0.0021. Okay, let's keep going with these last examples. Once again for this, we'd want to move this decimal place 2 spots to the right. We times that by 100. And this one, we want to move 1 space to the right, so we multiply this one by 10. This gives us 24 times 5. We can just count how many zeros there are. There are 3. So in total, we've multiplied by 1,000. We will reverse this later. 24 times 5. Well, we can just break this up. 20 times 5 is 100. plus 4 times 5 is 20. This gives us 120. And so we need to reverse this by dividing by 1000. That moves the decimal place 3 spaces back to the left. So 1, 2, 3. That gives us 0.120. 0.120. We can put that 0 in the front. But since we don't need to write zeros if they're behind decimals, we just leave it as 0.12. Overall, I hope that gave you the general idea on how we might multiply decimals. Okay, hope to see you in the next video, and best of luck.